Hello YouTube, this is OJ Cubing and welcome to my 5x5 tutorial. Okay, so first of all I want to mention that this is going to basically be the entirety of a 5x5 tutorial, and hopefully it should be okay for beginners who don't know how to solve a 5x5 yet. The only thing I won't be covering is the 3x3 stage, because you should be able to solve a 3x3 already, and it's basically just the same thing as that, and I'll leave a link in the description to a 3x3 tutorial if you don't know it. And I was going to do a tutorial on the reduction method, but I believe that Freeslice is actually a lot more intuitive and a bit easier to understand for beginners, and so I believe that Freeslice would be better for a beginner to learn than reduction. And if you just want to watch this video for the Freeslice section of it, then I'll leave a timestamp in the description as to when the Freeslice bit will begin. So anyway, let's scramble up the cube. Okay, that looks about scrambled. So the first thing we are going to do is build up the white center. So to do this, first of all, we want to make a 2x1 block involving the middle piece. That's very easy. We just need to find one of these plus centers or edge centers and just sort of move up into the top layer, and that will pair these up to make a 2x1 block. We now want to make another 2x1 block, and to do that is quite easy. We can just look in the middle slice usually and see that we've got an edge here and a corner here. So if we just bring that down, then that will pair them up like that. And then we need to insert this up here, and because we're only solving the first center, we can just move this over to the side so that these line up and just pair them up to make a 2x2 block. We now want to extend that into a 2x3 block, so we're going to make another 2x1 little slice thing. As you can see, we've got one down here in the bottom layer, so we can just line it up with up here so that when we bring that slice up, we bring it into the 2x3 block. And now we need to make a 1x3 block to make this into a full center. And to do that, we can see we can do that to pair these two up, and then we need to pair up this one with these two. We need to make sure we don't mess up the top center, so the way we do that is we push it up to make the 3x1 block, and then remember we've moved this slice over this way, so we need to move this 3x1 block out of the way, and then when we bring that slice back, it will fix up the centers. And then again, because no other centers have been made, we can just insert that block like that, and that'll be our first center done. So now we turn the cube over and we start working on the second center, which is yellow. So the first thing we're going to want to do is make that 2x1 block again. So we can pair that up like that, but as you see, we've messed up the white face, and so we need to move that out of the way so that when we move this slice back down, it will reform the center and keep our 2x1 block. I can see we've got a 2x1 block here as well. So I'm going to again push that up to make the 2x2 block, move the 2x2 block out of the way of the slice, and then move the slice back. We've got another one here, but that's quite lucky, I guess. So we could put it over here so that it lines up to go up into this slot here, move that to the side, move that up to make the 2x3 block, move the 2x3 block out the side, move it down, and then pair up the last 3x1 block by moving that like that, this over to like that. And now we can't just insert it in and then move out of the way and bring it down, because obviously that's not going to work, and we can't mess up this white center. So we're going to do a little thing called displacement, which basically is we're going to have it over like this. We're going to push or displace this 3x1 block out of the way with this one like that. Now we're going to move this layer around 180 degrees so that when we bring this back, it's actually going to bring the yellow center back, and that's going to fix the white center as well. So that's the first two centers done. That should have hopefully made sense. So let's move it around to the 4 equatorial centers. I'm going to start on orange. Now what I can notice here is a little bit of a trick. So first of all, because it's the first center in the middle layers, we don't really have to worry about messing them up. But I can see that we've got a 2x1 block here if you look at it like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to insert this edge down there to make this 2x1 block. Then move it over to the side, and then when we bring it back up, it's going to bring back that one as well to make a 2x2 block. And then I've got this 2x1 block here, or I could have made it quite easily just by sort of pairing them up like that. And so we're going to insert that in the bottom right and middle corners. So if I do that F2 there, then I can just bring that down and it will make that 2x3 block. Then we just need to make the last 3 by 1. So I know that I can move this up there without affecting this because that's in the slice that doesn't affect it. But if I wanted to put, say, this corner here up into that place there, it's going to disrupt this layer. So again, I'm just going to move that out of the way and then move that back up. And then again, because it's the first center in this layer, we can just move that up like that. So basically, when we're solving these 4 centers, we only ever need to do these moves with the Y turns. These turns don't actually matter at all. And then we don't do any moves like this that could disrupt these 2 centers. So then we're not going to do the opposite one, but we're going to do the next adjacent ones. Let's do the green. I see we've got quite a few things already, but it's not quite in the form we want. So what I'm going to do is bring this down and make sure I bring it down rather than up. So then if I brought it up, I'd have the orange in the way. If I bring it down, I can move this over to the side. And when I bring that up, it will make this 2 by 1 block. If we ignore this one here, if we see got a lot of edges up here. So what I'm probably going to do is bring this down and make that thing there. Now, as you can see, we've messed up the orange center. So we need to move it to the side and then bring that down. Or alternatively, we could have moved it to this side and then brought it down, which will then keep it in this face, which is quite easier to insert into this face. So we're going to do that move there, push that in to make the 2 by 3 block, move it out of the way of the slice, reform all the centers, and then we can finish off the green by making this 3 by 1 block, and then we can do the displacement thing to displace out of that one, do an F2, and then when we bring that up, it will have these 2 centers solved. So we're now down to the last 2 centers, and this is when it gets slightly more difficult, but nevertheless not too much different from what we've already done. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm probably going to displace this 2 by 1 block with this edge thing, put it up there, and maybe move that to the side, bring it down. That will create that thing there. Next thing I could do is maybe insert this 2 by 1 block. So I'm going to push it to the side, form up that 2 by 3 center, move it to the side, move it down. Now here it's kind of difficult to try and directly insert that corner there. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring this pair down into this face and move it up like that. And so now we can see where they line up. So at the moment we can quite easily align this up here so that we can just bring that down there, move it not out of the way but directly into this slot here, so that when we move the slice back it will form the centers again, and that will be all of our centers done. But we might end up with a case where we have this one here and our block here, and as you can see they don't match up when we do that. If we did that, it would push out of the way, that would break the 2 by 1 block, and then that obviously isn't right. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to hold it like this, so that we can put it down into the bottom right hand corner, which means that when we do this move here, it'll move it up into the top right, then we can move that back. We then have that case set up again so that we can just move it down, bring it up, and like that. So that is hopefully the 6 centers completed. I hope that made sense to you all, and let's start off with the Freeslice tutorial. So the basic idea of Freeslice is that we can move all of these layers as much as we want, as long as we don't disrupt these lines of 3 by 1 blocks going across like this, then everything is fine and it's all working well. And so basically what we're going to do is we're going to choose a edge first. I'm going to choose white green because I can see we've already got 2 here. And now all you need to do is insert it into this Freeslice sort of system. And the way you do that is by using R and U moves. So it's quite easy to do here. Basically, we can't just do an F to move it down like that, because that has pushed these 1 by 3 bars over to the wrong side. And so when we keep doing our moves, it's going to mess up our centers again. So what we're going to do is we're going to insert it down into here by doing quite easily an R, U prime, R prime move. And then as you can see, that means all of these are still horizontal bars and nothing's been messed up. We now need to locate the 3rd green and white block. And I see that's over here. And now I'm going to just insert that into this slot down here. It could be any slot as long as we don't get rid of this. So let's do the R, U prime, R prime. And as you can see, this lines up quite nicely. We can now just move that Freeslice just to pair up these 3 here. Now, essentially, because we're only moving this free slice mostly, all of these 4 slots and all of these 4 slots can be used to save your edges so that they don't get messed up. So what we're going to do is we're going to move the edge into the upper layer and then move it round and then put it back down. And that will mean that it's safe up here and it's not going to be locked out. So if we have a look at what that actually looked like, that was again just R, U prime, R prime. And that has saved this edge over here. Next one I'm going to choose for random reasons is going to be green and yellow. Now I see that we got another green and yellow here, and we can't just move that down like that because obviously these do not pair up correctly. So we're going to move it away again. We're going to do an F2 or U2 on this bit here. And that means that these are still horizontal bars, so everything is still okay. And then we can just move this slice down to pair these two up here. I find the next one here, if I do RU prime R prime, then again that just very easily inserts over to there. And then I can just do an RU prime R prime to insert it up to the top layer. The only thing that's important to notice with saving these edges is that we don't want to do an RU prime R prime here, because that would mean that we've brought down a block we've already saved into the lower slice. So what we want to do is make sure that we're inserting a block that is made up of unpaired edges, or even better, so that we can insert pieces into the free slice so that we can pair them up later. So I'm going to insert that over to there. And now I could go and start on maybe orange and green. So I'm going to do one more example. I can insert this into the free slice. Again, that doesn't pair up, so I'm going to do a U2 and then bring it down on the other side. That pairs those two up. Find the other piece. And this is where look ahead becomes incredibly important for speed. I see it's over here, so I can do that RU prime R prime. And again, that just slices quite easily to pair up with those. And I can actually displace this out of the way like that, and then move it to the side so that when I bring it back down, it's going to preserve that block there. And that means that we've brought this unpaired edges over down into the free slice. So I'm going to keep going to this until I have 7 of our edges correct, and I'll show you what happens then. Okay, so as you can see, I have 1, 2, 3 of my fixed edges up here, and 1, 2, 3, 4 down here. And I can pair up my last edge, how did it go, like that. And so what I want to do is I want to do my RU prime R prime, displacing this one so I can insert this bad edges down to there. So now as you can see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 correct edges, and 1, 2, 3, 4. And so we can't actually save any more than 8, and so we now get onto a thing that's called last 4 edges. But first of all, we have to fix the centers. This one just happens to be solved, so that's fine. And with the other ones, you just have to do some displacement sort of things for our 3x1 blocks, and I can bring that down to there. And because we're only using U2 and stuff, it doesn't matter for all of these edges. So that once we've solved all of these centers, our 8 edges, in fact, are still going to be solved. And now we can move to last 4 edges. Now, I would highly recommend Kevin Hayes' video on that. I think it is a very good video. And but I'm going to try and do my best to explain some of it. So essentially what we're doing is we're going to be using a flipping algorithm. Now I've brought my 4x4 out just to demonstrate what this algorithm is. So what it basically is RU R prime, F, R prime, F prime, R. And what that does, if we ignore all the other 3x3 stuff that's going on, is it has flipped this edge over. So it's flipped this entire slot over in the right way. So if we did that again, it would be fine. Now if we have a look at our 5x5, we can use this to our help. So for example, we can also do U2 moves, and that won't affect our 8 edges, so that's fine. I can see that I can pair these up like that, but then we've already got all 4 of these and all 4 of these set up, so there's no slots I can actually place them in. So what I want to do is I want to do something a little bit different. First of all, I want to flip this over using the algorithm so that it's down at the bottom. So I go RU R prime, F R prime, F prime, R. So now it's over here at the bottom and our slot is up at the top. That means we can move our slice over so that our slot is now at the top. Then if we do our flipping algorithm again, that means when we slice back, it will be in the right place, and that will make up that center. So that's quite helpful. Let's move on. So over here I can see that we've got these two are slightly flipped and they're in the wrong place. And so what I want to do is I actually want to push this into that slot and then flip it and push it back. So I'm going to move this so this up to the top, and so I can displace that one by doing the flipping algorithm. And then this means that when I move my slice across, I make up these two and I get rid of that one. I can then flip these to get out of the way of that slice, and then when I move the slice back, it will reform up those centers. Another trick that can be used is if we have our edges like this, so that we've got sort of headlight sort of thing and the middle one is missing and it doesn't align up correctly like that. Then what we can do is we can hold it like this, so this is in the bottom, that one's in the top, and go M prime, U2, M, and as you can see what that's done is it's pushed it back into that slot. So if we have a look, if we track this piece, it pushes it up, flips it so that it's in this slice, and then when we move it back it will slot it into there. So now we can have a look at other two last edges sort of cases. So any of these we do is going to create a flipped block. So we want to flip this piece over and maybe push it there to make this 2x1 block so that we can flip it using the flipping algorithm, move the slice back, and that means we've got this case here. Now here I can see that if I displace this block here, we're going to make the 2x1 block, and if I do the flipping algorithm, push it back, it's going to actually solve it again. And so that will lead to all of your edges solved. But quite often you'll notice that we have this sort of parity here where we have our 2 and our 2 and 1, 1. And I've actually found a way that we can reduce this to only one parity algorithm, and it's probably the easiest parity algorithm. So first of all, let's just try and fix this white and blue block like we would normally do. So by flipping this over there, flipping this piece and then pushing it back to solve that square there. And then the only edges we have unsolved is this one here, and obviously all we need to do is flip this middle one. Now this parity algorithm is actually quite difficult. The only thing that makes it quite simple is that it happens to be exactly the same as this OLL parity on 4x4, which many of you will know looks something like this. And that will solve that flipped edge, and then we can continue on with the rest of PLL and stuff. So just to go over that algorithm, it is RW2, B2, U2, LW, U2, RW prime, U2, RW, U2, F2, RW, F2, LW prime, B2, RW2. And so that algorithm will be in the description. As you can see, that has flipped our edge. And now we have got all of our edges solved, and we can move on to the 3x3 stage. Now, I just want to quickly mention that Freeslice and all of that last 4 edges stuff is also used for solving 6x6 and 7x7, and indeed greater and beyond 8x8 up to, you know, infinity by infinity, I guess. And that can be quite helpful for solving these, but it isn't usually so helpful for 4x4, and most people tend to stick to Yao, and I've actually made a Yao tutorial which you can check out, again, link in description. But yeah, Kevin Hayes, Felix, and all the other good big cube solvers tend to use Yao for 4x4, and then Freeslice for 5x5, 6x6, and 7x7. So that is our 5x5 solve. I hope that helped everyone who didn't know how to solve a 5x5, or anyone who didn't know how to do Freeslice. So I hope that helped you guys. And that is it for the end of this tutorial. So leave a like if you want to, subscribe if you like, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!